I got a Glock in my Rari. 17 shots, no 30. Yeah, she's mine. Wonder when she'll be mine. She walked past like praise, rewind. See that as more time. They got this soda. Ruby boys, they know us. All fast money, them slow bucks. No one can control us.
Tell me what you see. Is it money or it's me? I smoke 20, smell of weed. I got honeys in my feet. They like
know us. All fast money, them slow bucks. No one can control us. Yeah, she's mine. Wonder when she'll be mine. She walked past like praise, rewind. Let's see that as one more time. And I got this soda. Ruby boys, they know us. All fast money, them slow bucks. No one can control us.
Yes, the situation is so crazy, I just have to throw my 2 cents into it, okay? So the timeline goes like this. De Laguna approaches Destiny with advances, Destiny rejects, she goes full schizo, and then Pixie cozies up to Loner Box, they date, right? And then Pixie at some point, either before or after, shares nudes with Destiny. Probably without Loner Box's consent either, or knowledge. Well, I mean, it really depends, right? Because if it's after, then it's cheating, right? If before, then it's like whatever. Either way, I'm just gonna assume, just for, you know, safety's sake, that it's not cheating, alright, whatever. It's still really bad anyway. So now, Destiny does the worst shit, right? And then shares Pixie's nudes and Melina's to other girls to raise them up, right? Adds them to his goon folder, or whatever, right? Pretty bad. And then, this girl that Destiny rizzes up, this 19-year-old OnlyFans chick, was just some random ass 19-year-old OnlyFans chick, so that's pretty crazy, not gonna lie. I'm like, this is just some rando. How much does your goonery have to, like, see, that's the thing though, right? Because, like, oh man, a 19-year-old, really? It's like, man, that's crazy. And then leaks obtained. Leaks are put onto the internet after some hacker got that 19-year-old, you know, OnlyFans account, right? And then just because that 19-year-old OnlyFans chick received the nudes, now Pixie will find out because the hacker has leaked all of the nudes online, right? And then now all hell breaks loose, right? All hell breaks loose and everything goes bottom up, and we have suicide threats and lawsuit threats commence. Laguna, probably motivated by her spite, that's why I brought her up before. She probably gas up Pixie since they're like BFFs or something like that. So Laguna, because she's into law and all of that, probably was like gaslighting Pixie, like, oh my god, yes, you gotta take it. Yes, you gotta take this deal, you gotta take this law case, yes, you're gonna get lots of money. Now here's the thing, I want Pixie to win, okay? I want Pixie to win. You deserve a lot of fucking money for this. Yeah, that is true, alright? I totally get it, alright? And, you know, a lot of people are not speaking out and speaking out, but it's a big decision because they either don't want to say too much, either to cover Steven up, or it's like out of his respect, right, for his lawsuit, which could have like criminal ramifications, which is pretty major. And now we are here, aka GG boys, okay? All right. Now, there's several points that I kind of want to go over, just so I can throw my 2 cents into it. I am disappointed. I mean, like, it doesn't really mean anything coming from me or whatever, right? But, like, just from a more personal perspective, you know, I watched Destiny for quite a long time, ever since I was a sophomore in college. He got me back into all this politics, rigmarole, right? The reason why I volunteered in politics in the first place is just simply because of Destiny. Yeah, because all my other friends were like doing political canvassing. I was like, oh my god, I gotta do this too, ever since I've been inspired. So yeah, I actually got people to go vote. And no, it's not because of progressive victory. It's because on my own accord I wanted to do that, right? So, but we have other people too, right? So Pixie coming out, right, with all this detail, announcing the lawsuit. She is suing for a lot of money. I'm not sure if it's actually $1 million. We're not sure how much money is being sued for. We're not even sure if it goes to court because of the amount of trouble it's in. And then we have Not So Erudite reevaluating her state of affairs with Destiny because they share a podcast named Bridges. Now Lonerbox has unfollowed Destiny on Twitter, and he is supporting Pixie's side, probably because they're still in a romantic relationship, which is understandable. And it's just kind of a crazy situation overall because all sorts of people who you believe to be super loyal to Destiny is now just basically leaving him, which is crazy, right? Now, here's the thing. I think Destiny's career will survive, but it's just that this is his own Vosh lolly moment, right? I think that Vosh kind of handled it a little bit better than I thought. I mean, I expected him to melt down and everything like that, but like, whatever. If he follows the whole path of like just keep on streaming through it, everybody will forget about it in like 2 weeks, right? Whatever. Now, I still think that he's doing good for political action. With political action, I always, try to tell others, always try to view it in a more pragmatic light. Like, somebody can be like the worst person in the world, have good policies and do good causes and still be good for the space. However, I'm not sure how good his political action will be once people learn that he is the revenge porn guy, right? It's like, oh, here's my parasocial daddy streamer man who I will project all my desires and Giga Chad aspirations onto. Like this entire thing with DEG and their parasocial relationship with Destiny is pretty unhealthy. I mean, this is obviously coming from somebody who is like loosely tied with DEG as well. Like, I consider myself a DEGer. But at the same time, it just doesn't, I don't know what else to say. It's just pretty bad. I don't know what else to say. It's crazy. Now, there's another question that's been coming around. It's like, does Destiny actually have an actual system of abuse, right? Of abuse. Oh my god, was Mr. Girl right? I think yes and no. Basically, he does have an actual system of abuse in terms of it being disorganized. If people naturally gravitate around a co-leader, they will naturally defend the co-leader because they tie their, ego to them and whatever. So they will defend him to the last, otherwise they'll lose everything like their social support and everything like that. Now, do I think it's organized like abuse system where the person recognizes that there will always be girls coming out and then you are repeatedly like getting people in specific roles to pressure these girls to not do anything like on the same level of like Andrew Tate and stuff? No, I don't think there is enough evidence to necessarily support that. Now, with that being said though, disorganized abuse, again, rather it's abuse that falls in place by itself rather than meticulously planned out and executed, right? So if I were to really give a percentage of what I think it is, I think it's 30% chance it's true malice and 70% chance it's unorganized abuse system, right? But 100% still bad, right? And again, no, this does not make Mr. Girl right all along, okay? This does not retroactively apply rightness to the situation, right? Him DMing girls behind the scenes trying to get dirt is still stupid and obviously wrong and still comes off as desperate, okay? I don't care how many people are like defending Mr. Girl right now, okay? Just because this happened, again, doesn't really automatically validate everything he does, whatever, right? Now, President Sunday, okay, put out a hit piece, okay? There's this entire thing with Nicholas Dioria and President Sunday going on, whatever. I'm not, like, listen, I have my own opinions on it, but I'm not gonna touch on it in this video, alright? Or maybe ever, I don't know. But, I just want to say it's pretty clear he doesn't really care about the victims at all. Like, he just cares about clout and whatever. I mean, this should come as really obvious to any content creator. For any content creator, this is the end-all be-all for everything, okay? It just straight up does not come down to the victim. It just always comes down to clout, alright? But at the same time, the reason why I say this is because President Sunday specifically cites that he's doing this for the victim in his video. And that is the problem here, right? Because I assume that it's not going to be for the victim until you put out the statement saying, hey, I am going to be worried for this, for the victim or whatnot in his talk with Nicholas Diorio that he, put out in the video. And yeah, but I think it's all for self-preservation. But if you try to frame the story through like caring for the victim, a lot of it doesn't make sense. For example, why would President Sunday go all this way to put out a video without like Pixie's support and everything, if he really did care about the victim, right? Like that part doesn't really make sense. In fact, if you view the story through clout and like gaining clout, I think like President Sunday is just straight up lying. Yeah, I mean, like he's lying when he's saying like he cares about the victim. He doesn't, right? Obviously. Now, is Erudite a cover-up person? I think it's the same way that HR for a company is ultimately for the company's interests. I cannot fault Erudite fully for giving Steven the benefit of the doubt. And, you know, that's just how it is. Just mainly because if you view through Erudite's lenses, oh my gosh. Alright, through Erudite's lenses, her entire social network is built off of Steven. Her entire, like, her entire thing is built off of Steven, you know, all the way from her politics to her friend group to her views and whatnot. Sorry, I'm just like adjusting the freaking thing here, just so I can like. Okay, there you go. Maybe that's better. Okay, maybe that's better. Sorry. But yeah, I cannot fault Erudite fully for giving Steven the benefit of the doubt at all. And in fact, what she's done so far is already like pretty good. Like I wouldn't ever expect the HR for a company to be doing something this far. Like if the boss has committed like sexual harassment of a coworker. If I like just coming from my perspective as a former office worker, right? Now, however, you know, being in the position where your entire social system and pay revolves around one CEO man, again, already kind of screws her over from the very beginning because you put all your eggs in one basket, and that is a problem, right? You put all your eggs in one basket and now they're all breaking. And her actions regarding that is logical, albeit, you know, still morally bad. It's like kind of expecting a KKK member to divorce from their community and their social support because they are having doubts that, you know, that burning down that church down the street is like the best thing ever, right? Like obviously it's not. Now, another, you know, topic of discourse that is brought up that I find interesting is Pixie bad for suicide baiting? Well, yeah, I mean, technically, yeah, it is a bad action, like, objectively, but to be honest, it's like, man, it's like, if people killed parents' kids, and the parents typically being against capital punishment, but they want to murder the murderer anyway, can you really blame them? And if you bring this discourse up in front of the parents, can you, like, does that detract from the main issue? Kind of, yeah. I would argue murdering, like, the kids being murdered is a lot more of a big deal than the parents expressing desire to murder the murderers, right? Like, their feelings about it. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's bad that the person who got cheated on threw a brick at their ex-lover's house, but, like, man, you know, man, right? But yeah, yeah, I mean, it's bad for suicide baiting, like, don't get me wrong, but I mean, what can I say? She deserves her, like, $1 million bucks. What else can I say? All in all, messy situation, and I wish the lawyers their massive paychecks. Alright, good job, lawyers. Okay, I hope that you get lots and lots of money. Okay, money. And yeah, I actually do hope that Pixie gets the massive compensation she deserves, okay? I mean, no matter if you know, whether people like her or dislike her or whatever, right? This is a person that is being wronged objectively in a massive way. So, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that's just how it is, right? Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to toss my 2 cents in. Alright, goodbye.
So, yeah, what did you wanna talk about the Steve stuff that's going on?
Yeah, I figured...
I have a hot take. I actually think Not So Erudite is fine in her talk with Tom. Yeah, that's right. You heard me! You heard me. And I'm gonna explain. Yes. I'm gonna explain why I think this way, okay? Alright, okay, here we go. So in this talk, Not So Erudite basically talks to Tom, and specifically what they talk about is her participation in this entire Destiny sex leak drama. Basically, Tom's assertion in this entire debate or conversation is that Not So Erudite is Ghislaine Maxwell. She is speaking on behalf of Destiny in order to cut down the culpability of his responsibility. And her general perception, all in all, in this entire talk, at least how Tom presents to Erudite, is that the public views her as somebody who is trying to get the girls to be quiet, specifically Pixie. However, there's some things that are like revealed throughout this entire debacle that makes me think like, what could this be the full story? We never know. Oh yes. So yeah, it's a lot, but we'll go over it, okay? All right, Jesus. I'm just gonna sum up the beginning parts. Basically, it seems as though that it is reclarified that in terms of the Pixie video, like the leaked sex tape, the consent to record is yes, but the consent to share is no. Obviously, everybody agrees that Destiny is in the wrong, right? And the primary fear actually does seem to be the fear of suicide. And this isn't exactly something that is like, oh my god, she is suicide baiting. Oh no, oh my god, just another e-whore looking for attention. Oh my god. Ooh. No, it does seem as though that Pixie has a history of suicidal tendencies, and there are some attributes to her real life that seems to amplify these things. For example, number one, she states that she has a bunch of pills nearby. Now, whether or not you think this is true is up to you. She has also been cutting off friends in preparations for her suicide, which is always a big one, because one of the things that what I imagine would hold people back is like, oh my god, I have friends, I don't want them to miss me, so I'm not going to commit suicide, right? Now, the plan is probably just to take the pills to commit suicide. So it seems as though NSC, when she was talking to Pixie, is number one, you can try to talk to Destiny to resolve the situation, or you can just go straight to the lawsuit option. Woo! And it seems as though, since people are questioning this aspect, is that why Pixie wouldn't communicate with Destiny is because their communications have not been fruitful. It seems as though that Destiny is a little bit too much off that autism, that Vyvanse sociopathic, psychopathic Vyvanse autism. Oh yes, I love pills. I don't like to communicate. So instead, NSE acts as the bridge between Destiny and Pixie. At least this is all according to NSE. Listen, alright, if it turns out this is all a big fat lie later on, don't blame me, alright? I'm just repeating verbatim what she said in her conversation with Tom Foolery! Sorry, Turkey Tom! Alright? So basically, NSE said to Destiny, oh my god, you effed up big time, bro. Bro, you effed up big time, and it's time to pay up. It's time to pay up. You need to pay for therapy, you need to pay for X and Y, you need to pay for law school, right? All that crap, right? But here's the thing, okay? We need some tension. We need some action, right? So what Tom's worry here? Tom's worry here is that if Destiny pays directly to Pixie, he could just think he could pay his way out of these situations constantly.
If he gets it in his head, he can just pay his way out of these situations. And to be clear, he has enough money to do that. He can pay for her law school and still be okay. It's like, what incentive is there for him to not do it again in the future if he thinks he might be able to get away with it,
Which is actually a good point to make. It's true. If you realize that you have enough money to pay your way out of these kinds of situations, why would you not take that, right? That's a good point to make. And Erudite also says that she can't work with somebody like Destiny given the terms that she speaks of in her conversation with Tom.
If he recorded somebody without their knowledge and sent it out, like, I don't think I can, like, I don't know what to do. I don't think I can work with. That's a line I can't. I don't fuck with that shit. Like, that's insane. And it sounds like, I know recently, like, Cherry has made some statements. Just to be clear, I don't know anything about those leaks, and so, like, I don't know. I need to figure out what's going on with those additional leaks, because, like, a pretty hard line for me is, like, if somebody does according to somebody else, that's a pretty hard line for me.
Right here. And then Tom is all like, why are you trying to forgive Destiny so hard? And, well, Erudite kind of, made a really bad response and said, boys will be boys.
Leaking somebody's nudes, I think, is also really bad. To be clear, I think it is really bad. But the issue is that I think it's fundamentally just a more common issue that people do. It's definitely, in my experience, not the first time that somebody has, like, leaked nudes. I think it's really bad. I think it's not okay. Like, when you hear about, like, guys, like, showing other guys, like, tits that some girls shunter. Like I think it's gross, and there's a reason I don't look at it.
I mean, that's...
And, well, here's the thing. From her perspective, she's like, you know what? Big boy? You know what, big boy Tom? Alright? I understand my friend effed up, okay? But I can't just let him go, okay? I can't just let him go, alright? Because even if my friend F's up, we have made such a norm of cutting friends off when they are going through something that's bad, to the point where we are harming more in this society than we are not, or whatever, right? Which I kind of get, because it's like, I totally agree with that aspect, but man, you know, it's not just that part. I mean, we have to get to like the financial ties that not so erudite has with Steven, but like, man, you know, this shit crazy. But it's like, however, where's the hell now? Remorse? Future consequences? Who knows, right? And then it's like, man, for some reason there's like Fairy Queen erudite lore, which I just cannot give an F about. Boring! Alright? FQ seeking out erudite for help, and then erudite still being treated badly by FQ? What? This is just literally a Fairy Queen classic, okay? She is just such a dope-minded... Who cares? Nobody cares about her. Let's move on. I don't even know why she was brought up in this conversation. It's like, oh my god, they were passing leaked DMs around. Oh my god, this cloud chaser needs to go away! Okay, sorry. That was just my inner wolf coming out. Woo! Okay, so Pixie was like, oh my god, Straight Array backstabbed me. It's like, cause Straight Array leaked DMs with Fairy Queen, and with their little group of friends with Smugbug, and the other like group of actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, it is Loner Box Orbiters. It's just a bunch of Loner Box Orbiters, people that I once knew, but now I can see that they're kind of cringe. Okay, not gonna lie. All right, yes. So, and the NSC basically says, oh, if a friend does bad thing, then I won't drop them immediately. It's just right here, all right?
I think people are like, the biggest question people have is like, why I'm sticking around Destiny. And so I just want to like answer that question, I think, a little bit more extensively, which is A, if something else comes out about the leaks, which is like more pernicious or criminal, you realize like, I probably won't, but I don't engage with friendships in the way that it feels like people are kind of expecting me to, maybe in the public. I'm really staunch about like rehabilitation and like journeys and processes, which means that like if I have a friend who's done a bad thing, they're not like dead to me. I'm not just going to drop them immediately. I'm going to confront them, usually in a way that I think is most productive, particularly if they've done something that I think not just violates like my values, but their own values. This isn't the first time I've confronted Steven on different things. It's just the biggest thing that I've confronted him on. But there's been multiple times, like even in this like cutie Cinderella drama where he started like making fun of her. I was like, why are you doing this? Like, this isn't your values. Like, this is something you don't believe in. And he's like, yeah, you're right. Right? So I think if everyone just disowns people immediately for wrongdoing, like nothing works.
And then Tom is like, yes, but you have a financial stake. You are tied with Steven. You depend entirely on Steven. It's like when Steven rapped with Mr. Muton, was like, I am the sun, you are the tree. Everybody knows that you can't exist without me. It's just kind of like that with Erudite, which is a good point, which is exactly why it's kind of hard to take Natsu Erudite at face value, because you know that her entire cost of living is dependent, not cost of living, her living is dependent upon Steven. So it's like, man, you know, like we really want to believe that you're a good person, but man, it's kind of hard to, you know? And then Erudite is like, I want to run a treatment center for kids. And then she states that this is an avenue, like the connection and the network that she formed online will help her realize that goal. I just want to say, girl, what kind of drugs are you smoking? What kind of drugs are you smoking? How the hell is making a bridge with Destiny going to help you run a treatment center in the future for kids? How is that supposed to work? Okay, what? That makes no sense. Anyway, all right, whatever, man. And the Erudite's like, I'm not trying to mitigate consequence, but also trying not to suppress Pixie. Okay, all right. listen, we can only take you at face value, okay? If somebody doesn't trust you, then they don't trust you, okay? And that's that. You can't do anything about it, alright? That's just how it is. That's where the buck stops! But also, I try to see the good in people, and what she says throughout this entire conversation kind of makes sense. But whatever, right? And then Pixie says, she wants now $1 million from Destiny. You know what? Grab that bag, girl, okay? That's the least that Destiny owes you. But NC says she's not comfortable mediating a financial compensation between two mutuals when Pixie brought that up to an Erudite. And you know what? I can't blame Kyla, man. You know what? She's been spitting some facts this entire time. Alright, yes, she's untrustworthy. Yes, she's bad. But man, not gonna lie, she's kind of making sense if you really, really listen to what she is saying and not just putting it through a machine that automatically bad faith transforms her words into something malicious 5D IQ supervillain talk. Okay? But, that's just how I take it. Alright? Okay, listen, if I had a friend who talked to me about asking money from another friend of mine, I can't get in that conversation either, okay? I'm gonna be honest, it's not my place to. It's not only my place to, but I'm heavily uncomfortable with that. It's called real life, okay? But since most people online don't have more than two friends, don't have more than one friend that they pepper constantly and then trauma dump on, I can't really say anything about that. People won't understand. And then Tom is like, oh, I don't want to associate with Destiny because it gives me the ick! Alright, which is kind of funny because that's what Not So Erudite says all the time. It's like, oh, it gives me the ick. Although Tom, to be fair, Tom did not say, oh, he gives me the ick, but it's close enough, I mean, it is what it is. Anyway, oh my god, this entire situation is crazy and I think everybody's unhinged. Okay, actually, they're not as unhinged. It kind of makes sense now that you think about it. Honestly, this is kind of the most rational everybody has, kind of been the entire time, if you think about it. Except for Destiny, okay? I mean, during his gooning hours, but he does realize he did kind of effed up, right? But then Erudite is speaking some rational thoughts, Tom is speaking some rational thoughts, Diorio is speaking some rational thoughts. Alright, from Strader Raid and Sunday's perspective, even from their side, it kind of makes sense because they have every incentive to try to bring down Destiny because they're buddy-buddy with each other, alright? Yeah, big whoop, Strader Raid betrayed you for Sunday. Yeah, no... Alright? Yeah, duh, of course. Oh my god, that Sunday charm just has everybody by the balls. He is reposting, twisting everyone's scrotum. Okay, alright, I need to calm down, okay? Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye. I have a hot take. I think it's actually respectful and fine for Steven's friends to continue to be friends with him. Okay, you're probably wondering oh my god. How is Foodshops going to justify this one? What kind of crack are you smoking? Okay, listen. It's okay, alright? Let me elaborate. Let me enlighten you, okay? The whole why do you continue to be friends with X argument is, first of all, just so weird. The real actual loaded question that they want to ask is, it's not even a question actually, it's just a command. You should stop being friends with X, alright? Every single time they ask that question, it's actually a statement, an expectation, alright? Now I need you, for people who don't understand, okay? Rack your brain, okay, with me, okay? Let me convince you. Let me cook! Okay, alright. In order to talk about Destiny, we have to talk about Shadman, okay? You're probably wondering oh god, Foodshops talking about Shadman? You can't make this up. Oh my god, we knew this was gonna happen. Oh no, it's freaking over, okay? Okay. Shadman basically drew softcore porn of Keemstar's daughter. See? I'm not sugarcoating it. As expected, the internet thought Shadman was based. For being freaky back then, but now you know, times have changed, alright? There was a crusade that happened in which commentators were hunting down people who were friends with Shadman or associated with him, and this caused a lot of adjacent drama, alright? It made some good content, okay? So, you know what, it wasn't all lost, right? A lot of people were being clamored at to disassociate from Shadman. And to disassociate with people who didn't actively denounce or disassociate with Shadman. And this actually kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It's weird, because if I was friends with somebody, The only person who should be able to decide whether or not to still be friends with them should only be me and myself. That is my expectation. I shouldn't be having another friend or a bunch of strangers telling me, hey, you shouldn't be friends with Mark. Hey, you shouldn't be friends with Sam. Did you know that Sam, Mark, or whatever said the N-word one time a long time ago? Okay, alright. And you're probably wondering, like, how could you compare this situation with anything on the same magnitude as saying the N-word, okay? I'm trying to get across the point that just because somebody has done a bad action, that does not mean the default reaction should always expect it to be, oh, you should break off your bridge with them. It should always be like, okay, if you find some degree of value in the friendship, if you believe that you're adhering to some kind of standards for yourself, then yeah, I think you should actually continue to be friends with them. I think actually breaking off a friendship is the weak beta thing to do. I actually think that keeping a bad friendship going, despite all the social pressure going against you to in order to pressure you to break off the friendship, is in fact alpha, okay? It's sigma. It's sigma male, okay? I don't know what else to say. It's sigma, okay? Alright. I think a weird sense of parasocial entitlement emanates from fans who desperately want to continue liking their primary content creator despite being conflicted over controversial figures they continue to have a bridge with. Okay? What do I mean? Destiny is friends with a bad friend, right? You know, let's just say Martin Scully, okay? Because that will never happen. Oh wait, it did actually happen, okay? Martin Scully, somebody who probably did way worse in total, in magnitude, than sex leaks. Okay, arguably. Yeah, you know what? Causing, you know, like the whole medicine, whatever. Listen, it just sounds bad, okay? I'm too lazy to do research. It just sounds bad, alright? It sounds way worse, okay? Okay. The point is, to content creator drama farmers, this is more forgiving. Because you want to find avenues of content so you have incentive to go after people who wouldn't disassociate. As good controversies provide good attention and views. For example, who knows how many times I have farmed Jay Stelk and Kelly Jean, right? Kelly Jean's this problematic person that Jay Stelk always hangs around with, right? However, what's weird is this expectation of burning bridges, because we're so used on the internet to dropping bridges on a dime, okay? For clarity, okay, I do not support any of Destiny's actions. In fact, I find them reprehensible. I also do not support active sweeping for any of Destiny's takes or actions. Alright? It doesn't even matter if the person is Destiny or not. I personally don't like any kind of active downplaying of some of these negative actions in a significant way. However, I believe recognizing the action as very bad without diluting it while continuing to be associated with them is fine. Okay? And I just want to say this, okay? Do you remember all that Vosh lolly folder stuff that, you know, I was covering for a time? Oh my god. Okay, listen, if you don't know about this, don't worry about it, okay? Alright, so basically, the reason why I loved criticizing Brianna Wu and Counterpoints during that time is because they were actively being hypocritical and they were actively downplaying what actually is going on here, right? So, yeah. For this one, though, it seems as though the examples I'm about to bring up, they're not really downplaying it at all. You can argue that they're downplaying it by continuing to be associated with Steven, but I don't consider that real downplaying whatsoever. Annivore, okay, on J-Stock's stream, talks about how she recognizes fully what Steven is doing is bad, but she will still talk to Steven.
I know Steven. I know him. I know how he is, and this doesn't really surprise me that much. And so he knows how angry I am with him over this and how I am super disapproving of everything that he's done. This is terrible. And I fully support him facing accountability and consequences for this. Whether they be legal consequences or financial consequences, but yeah.
Okay.
Pushing people away, rejecting people, being extremely harsh on people does not make people change. It doesn't. Like, research has repeatedly shown this. Like, this is just not how people change. Yes, you can argue the whole, like, you can argue the whole, like, what's the term in the addiction world? In like the Alcoholics Anonymous world, where rejecting people and stuff just doesn't make them change. And if someone is still willing to change and still willing to accept faults and stuff for their behavior and still show some remorse, there's value in that.
Here, Anivor kind of accepts that, okay, if you don't know who Anivor is, Anivor is basically another one of Steven's so-called victims. I say so-called because it's allegedly, right? It's not like I looked directly at the leaks or something, right? But Anivor supposedly also had their leaks leaked by Steven, right? And she recognizes it as bad. However, it seems that Anivor is still okay with maintaining a bridge with Destiny despite it, right? We're probably wondering, but Foodshops, isn't this just complacency? Why should a victim of sex crimes continue to stay with the person who caused the immoral actions to happen in the first place? Abuse enabler? Okay, alright. Alright, clearly you're dumb. Okay, so let me just lay it out for you. Okay, you're emotionally regarded. Okay, you're emotionally acoustic. That's okay. Alright, that's fine, okay? Let me, the emotion and social master, teach you the way, okay? Internet Padawan, alright? I get it. It does seem that way. But I believe that putting that forward to Anivor, it takes away some of the autonomy she has as an adult and infantilizes her, okay? What is happening in this drama already is infantilizing the woman victims, okay? Anivor, right? Cherry, it's when President Sunday releases his hit piece without the victim support, it is infantilizing women. Absolutely, 100%. Because you're saying, I don't actually need the approval of this woman victim in order to carry forward using their case as a hit piece for my own gain, right? So, in that case, yeah, absolutely. It's sexism and infantilization. Okay, it's not even in question. Okay? In my opinion, it shouldn't even be in question. Alright? Again, alright, we don't want to infantilize victims. Okay? We want them to be able to choose. Okay? If a victim knows what bad has come out of a situation or has been perpetuated onto them, but they still continue to be in a relationship, then, you know, that's their choice. Okay? They're not a kid. Alright? Unless you're like, oh my god, Anivor is a kid because of how insane she is, then okay, alright, good job. We're back at square one, okay? We're back at square one. In a situation where somebody is a sex crime victim and control is taken away from her, the fact that she chooses to talk with Destiny could still be interpreted as a form of taking control back, okay? Because she's making a choice. You have to allow her to have the right of self-determination! Okay, it's like, okay, oh my god, this is so cringe. But like, you know Free Palestine, right? Or like letting Palestine have the right of self-determination. Oh my god, you know what? You get the point, alright? Because it's the only way I can communicate with some losers who, you know, I just, listen, it's fine, okay? Okay, deep breaths. Just as easily, she could have chose to burn the bridge forever. You can judge her. It's fine to judge her. Alright, you can go like, oh, this is victim. But you aren't entitled to her committing an action just because of her unique position in this drama. She has nothing left to gain with continuing a bridge with Destiny anyway. Unless it's like sexual or whatever, but I mean, we get there when we get there, alright? She could easily build an audience off of attacking Destiny on her own streams. Ask yourself this question. Can she earn more by aligning herself with Destiny right now? Or with all the detractors right now, despite having a good valid reason to do so? Ask yourself that question, okay? Alright, second person. Not so very nice. I talked about her before, but I'm going to talk about her again because she's such a good example, okay? So, she talks about how in a world where people just burn bridges with others quite often, she will stay with Steven because she wants to adhere to her principles of helping people who are doing bad things, not just cutting off people who do bad things. She cites people she has treated before as a result.
I have a friend who's done a bad thing. They're not like dead to me. I'm not just going to drop them immediately. I'm going to confront them, usually in a way that I think is most productive, particularly if they've done something that I think not just violates like my values, but their own values. This isn't the first time I've confronted Steven on different things. It's just the biggest thing that I've confronted him on. But there's been multiple times, like even in this like cutie Cinderella drama where he started like making fun of her. I was like, why are you doing this? Like, this isn't your values. Like, this is something you don't believe in. He's like, yeah, you're right. High risk, like, my entire career previous to this was working with, like, drug addicts and juvenile delinquents. Like, people have done really, really fucking bad shit. And so I don't know. I understand why people may be confused because maybe they don't feel similar, and I don't put this on anybody else. Like, nobody else has to orient themselves towards Steven or anyone else who's done something wrong like I do. But basically, the moment that I saw like remorsefulness, accountability, and like a step-by-step plan of like how he was going to correct the issue, that's when I was like, okay, I can still work with this person, because it's like the try and the accountability that matters to me. Not
She has financial ties, but just saying she is protecting these ties is also infantilizing her. It's a very much, quote, wow, women love money, red pill kind of moment, okay? Just how much closer will she get to her therapy center for children goal by working with a sex crime stinny? Just think about it, okay? Does she not have much more of an incentive to keep doing her day job, go back to Canada, live out her life in peace, stop doing this content creation stuff, right? Doesn't she have more incentive to do that? I'm sorry, it's just true, okay? It's just straight up true right now, okay? Right? Clearly this internet stuff is stressing her out. Why would she not return back to real life, right? With a day job and working towards her goal, right? Like, okay, come on, guys, right? She is actually using her standards here and practicing what she preaches, even at the detriment of herself. Okay? And let me tell you, I have heard, I haven't confirmed yet, of like, because I deleted my Twitter account and I'm too lazy to like refollow on my alternate accounts. You get what I mean? But I think I heard that she unfollowed Destiny, but you know what? It's whatever, okay? Okay, the third woman, Dan Saltman, who I actively dislike most of the time, okay? Because of his whole, Twitch movement thing, okay? The J boys, all right? That whole thing. He has actually kind of earned a little bit back of my respect back by standing on the point of staying with Steven, that he would still be friends, especially after 15 years, okay? You know what? I think a better two statements is this, okay? Sometimes I wish I had the ability to tell the reason why somebody cuts off a bridge with Destiny. Alright? Like, if somebody cuts off a bridge with Destiny, is it because you actually have morals and ethics to stand on? Or is it because you felt the public pressure? Because that really, really depends on what the reasoning is, right? Like, on whether or not it's good. Because if it's morals and ethics, fam, you're just being a Giga Chad, alright? It is what it is. An actual good Giga Chad. Or is it because you felt the public pressure? aka a spineless coward, okay? Jay Stelk. Actually, I shouldn't be judging Jay Stelk, okay? I actually heard that Jay Stelk was pretty passionate about their friend, okay? Whatever. Likewise, I wish I had the ability to tell the reason why somebody keeps a bridge with Destiny. Is it because you have ethics you want to adhere to for yourself? Or is it because you continue wanting to have a bridge with him for your own gain? Do you view Destiny like Nero, okay? Where you want to keep a bridge with Destiny, where because you want to grow your own career, because your career is essentially nothing, right? Or is it because you have ethics? Right? You have ethics that you might want to adhere, right? Or whatever. Listen, it's not like Not So Erudite pulled her philosophy out of nowhere. It kind of freaking makes sense, okay? She's a therapist. She is like an addiction counselor, alright? Like, this is her thing. And she didn't pull this out of her ass. It has been like a part of her since forever. Like, it's not hard to believe. If it was like Asmongold, listen, if it was Asmongold XQC that did this, and they cited like, oh yeah, according to psychology standards, then yes, I would be far more skeptical. Okay, but with both Anna and Natsuera, they're both psych people. What are you expecting? Morons. Okay, alright, okay. Okay. People are just so stupid online, and I have been sniffling and coughing a lot and like tearing up for the past couple of days. Not because I'm sad, but because I'm allergic to bullshit! Okay, alright. Everything is context dependent. People online are dumb or refuse to see anything except in black or white. Whatever. Okay, not saying black and white is inherently bad. Alright. Okay, bye.
Uh-huh. Interesting. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Give me a second. Give me a moment. I'll just look at the thing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Some repetition of that sentiment earlier.
It would be a blue message.
It would
depending on actually, yeah.
Just scrolling through them because she says I want this to be the most interesting. It's very interesting.
And I've
I would struggle.
I just want to, I guess, to leave off. I think on the day that this stuff does break, you're going to have reinforcements, but you probably won't until that point. Unless something gives.
This guy is literally fucking saliva dripping out of his mouth. Like, God, just kill yourself already so we can post this.
And if I cover it, there's a good chance they will find out.
Oh, 100%. Why do you think I haven't covered this at all? Like, that's my principal issue.
Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. This is his principled position.
I have disliked President Sunday since forever. I think he is a fraud. President Sunday was a Vosh orbiter who ultimately tried to make a name for himself by being a Destiny A-logger and theory breadtuber. He has gotten into all sorts of weird drama, but otherwise entrenched himself in the crowd overlapping the commentary community space with commentary YouTubers Queeman and Chud Logic. Now, I have long since accepted that nobody actually cares about the victim in many circumstances. This is a natural part of commentary, and this is a natural part of YouTube. Now, here's the thing. Neither do I. Except on some human level, of course. But main character syndrome and thinking yourself as always being justified and right is totally a thing. Cognitive dissonance plays a huge factor in content creation, especially in the commentary circles. You can admit to yourself late at night, oh yeah, I don't actually care about the victim. But really, when you're speaking to your audience and when you're speaking to yourself most of the time, you tell yourself, yeah, I actually do care about the victim. But at the bottom of your wallet, it is 100% just clout and revenue. And this is where Sunday becomes relevant. Since forever, I don't think he acts in good faith, and he actually plays up how much he cares about certain issues in order to virtue signal, to cover for how much he actually wants the clout. Now, when it comes to the Destiny scenario, it's amazing how much of this is shown through his actions versus what he says. Now, Pixie, the victim of Destiny here, Pixie is confirmed to have been suicidal before, as revealed in the text between her and Erudite. Now, Sunday has access to these texts. I respect President Sunday here, which is exactly why I'm going to assume he's not stupid and he actually knows that Pixie is suicidal. Is it really that much of a far stretch to say that Pixie is going to be suicidal because their nudes and sex leaks are out there in public for any of their real life friends and family to see, especially since Pixie is actually physically moving through the states in order to come and help out at the canvassing and X and Y. Is it really that much of a surprise that Pixie might have told 1 or 2 family members or friends, and then if they do search her up now, that they might come across these sex leaks? No, right? Absolutely, they might actually find it. And absolutely, it might actually make her feel suicidal. This is ultimately pretty funny because Sunday, you can't make this up, okay? He tries to frame himself as a victim defender.
And if it is allowed to continue, the obvious result of recklessly sharing these intimate images with strangers occurs and they are publicly exposed for all to see to the detriment of these people's reputations, mental health, and safety. He is able to buy off his victims and use their purchased silence as moral ammunition to shut down anyone who would try to hold him accountable for what is clearly grossly unethical conduct.
And it's like, that's my principal issue.
And she desperately doesn't want her family to know. And if I cover it, there's a good chance they will find out.
Oh, 100%. Why do you think I haven't covered this at all? Like, that's my principal issue.
Oh no, wait, I'm sorry, this is his principled position. Oh,
And look, all right. Why? It's not even like a secret that he's part of the Queeman Chalogic crowd, who, at least for Queeman's crowd, they hate Pixie. Queeman A-logs Pixie, makes fun of her mental issues, makes fun of her as a whole. So it's like, it's kind of funny for Sunday to kind of go like, oh yeah, I'm like this person who really cares about the crime here, right? The victim or the social consequences, whatever, right? Like he tries to give off this aura of caring and empathy, but like I just don't see that at all. Like it doesn't make it isn't congruent with his actual position in these social circles. Now, he then says that she is trying to profit off of this.
Repeatedly talk her down from. The condition of this financial compensation is, of course, Pixie's continued silence. This would seem to imply that Pixie's decision to not go public is not because she is afraid of the repercussions, or else she wouldn't be threatening Destiny directly with legal action or public denunciations, but because she wants to profit personally off of extorting Destiny.
I mean, yeah, sure. Honestly, if someone's nudes were unconsensually leaked, why would you not get that money? Why would you not get that bag? So the fact that he is trying to paint her as some kind of extortionist or whatever, is it really extortion? Or is it the fact that, hey, you know, I feel like I need fair compensation for this. This is kind of crazy, right? Like, for example, if you got a workplace injury, you tripped and fell over, okay, because you're a blue-collar office worker, whatever, right? Is it extortion to try and seek workplace compensation? Some kind of grievance compensation for your workplace injury? It's like, where are we? Extortion implies that the person asking for the money is doing something wrong, which I don't think in this case is. And in addition, it feels super slimy how Sunday feels as though he really wants this story to be public somehow so he can begin farming clout off of Destiny's Fall, which, I mean, he is right now. But like, here's the thing, Nicholas DiOrio, alright, had a call, obviously, with President Sunday, but the thing is that Nicholas DiOrio has a lot of credibility. President Sunday does not, because he's unhinged. So the thing is that he wants Nicholas DiOrio to go public, so then he is able to go public. He needs to have Nicholas DiOrio's narrative support, right? He needs the credibility to help him out.
The issue I have with this is there's no story unless that person is involved. And if that person's not involved and it becomes their word against any other person's word, then that's a loss 100 times out of 100, and it's like a career-ruining loss.
What specifically would have to happen to trigger some kind of, determinate position on this in public for you?
I mean, I'll be super candid about it. Pixie would need to talk.
Yeah. Would she have to talk publicly? Or do you just have to see it?
No, I think I've already seen it. I think she needs to talk publicly because...
So it's especially problematic when Nicholas DiOrio says, oh, the victim has to be involved in the story. Like, the story being released has to have the support of the victim. And then Sunday just kind of releases the videos anyway.
We are launching 2 videos tomorrow morning.
Oh no.
And, yeah, guess who's coming along for the ride?
Who?
Well, if he was German, one speculates his name might be something like Christoph der
Wait,
Snickerdoodle.
Kraut? Oh, no. Oh, wait, hold on, wait. I'm. No, I don't know. I guess Kraut. I don't. Who's?
I said, if he was German, his name might be Christoph der Snickerdoodle.
I'm not getting
No,
it.
I deliberated about it hard. I gotta reference our conversation tomorrow. It's a public interest thing. It lays bare the issue. I put you in a positive light.
Now, the thing is that this isn't even just about the Pixie situation, right? Because we're bringing into question a lot of what Sunday alleges to care about in the past, right? One thing he claims to care about is the Israel and Palestine conflict, the dead Palestinian children, right? It wouldn't surprise me if he just wanted to farm Destiny off his pro-Israel take by virtue signaling about Gaza, right? Does he actually care about the dead Palestinian children? No, I don't think so, okay? He could convince himself that he cares. Well, then he is delusional about it, I think. Also, it brings into question his pretentiousness about mental health, because he is a part of Chud and Queeman's fan base. There's no dancing around that line. He is absolutely a part of it. And they tend to have a looser view compared with Sunday on mental health. By looser, that is just putting it kindly, because Chud and Queeman go full in on bashing mental health, on bashing these kinds of things. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with that as part of being a content creator on the internet or whatever, but the thing is that it kind of shows a certain soft hypocrisy, right, between what Sunday cares about versus his own personal actions. It's just kind of like Squid Game's recruiter at the homeless shelter offering people bread and lottery tickets, right? It's kind of like that. That's how incongruent it is. And it also brings into question how much Sunday cares about trans people. I think it's objectively true that Chud Logic's and Queeman's audiences are overall on average transphobic. Whether you view this as a good or bad thing is up to you, but it's still objectively true. And Sunday claims to care a lot about transphobia. That's just the truth. He has a lot of trans people in his audience. So it's like, oh man, it's like, I you know what, whatever. And then you're probably wondering like, but Foodshops, isn't this guilt by association? Oh, you're so right. Not So Erudite is perfectly innocent now because she's a different person from Steven. No, you moron! His personal brand is about being anti-transphobia and pro-mental health awareness. And he associates his brand with these people. But Foodshops, Innisy is financially tied to Destiny. So? Sunday gets revenue and clout and attention in part from audience attention, directly or indirectly from his socializing with Chud's community. He has his own audience, but now he shares in some viewers who no doubt contributes towards the success of his streaming career. And honestly, he's practically a Queeman and Chud Logic orbiter anyway. Honestly, in my opinion, you really shouldn't take Sunday seriously at the end of the day. He's like if you took a piece of poop and slapped a post-it note on it that says leftist crumb tuber. And honestly, he's probably less than that because at least the poop would make good fertilizer, which would make things grow. I don't think Sunday contributes neither a leftist revolution nor photosynthesis, and we'll just leave it at that. I am very sad to make this video because I do not make this video with a light heart. I make it with a heavy heart. Now, for introduction, I have for many years watched Destiny since I was a sophomore in college. I remember one particular summer where I was alone and there was nobody there except for Destiny. I grew more and more attached to him, the more debates and commentary and all the things that he was talking about. Now, forgive the turn here, but my father was brutal, my biological father, and he never gave me enough emotional validation. And also, as a kid, he beat my ass. I saw Destiny as a father figure, and over time, he became the ideal father figure to me. I also became a content creator because of Destiny. One day, I just wanted to sit and do nothing, click my fingers, and earn a bunch of donations. I always thought that was very admirable. As opposed to working a traditional job. When I was a college student, and also for the years after college, I wanted to slide Destiny into personal friend conversations. But they couldn't understand because, you know, ever since I wanted to defend saying the N-word with my real life friends, like Destiny, and his epic N-word arc, I have lost friends, but maybe they weren't friends in the first place if they couldn't understand my logic with the N-word. I also saw his schizo arcs with different BPD women, and I thought to myself, wow, if he could get these women by sitting on stream, I could too. And I thought I could get women like that too. Every time a BPD woman accused him of something and he debated them out of it, I felt empowered. Like I was always in the right, like how Destiny is always in the right? Because every single time he debates them and they start crying and Destiny is not crying, I always feel as though he has power over the situation, that the other opponent was losing their mind, that because they cannot face the music, they cannot face the truth. And, you know, because of this, I have also began around the same time to debate former female friends I had in college. And we fell out due to related reasons. Because at the time, my debating skills were not so good. If I debated better, they would probably still be my friend because they would see the reason of my logic. I also began to canvas because of Destiny, and I sent him DMs because really I wanted him to say that he was proud of me. I also DM'd him because, to me at least, he was my friend and father figure, although he can be a bit more muted and silent at times. I loved him. And although he never showed me the same kind of love back, I know that he's expressing his love in his own way. He still showed me more warmth through his streams than my real father ever did. Although, to be honest, I would consider him my real father. Although, you know, I didn't want to be a tier 5 sub, my heart had the same love as one, if not more. But once he lost himself and turned to the dark side, I couldn't accept it anymore. With all the situations going on, I understood that he was going through something truly dark and sad. I asked him about the situation, but he has not answered, even though I know he knows how important our bond is. You know, with all the times I DM'd him, he must have noticed who I am, and he even pulled me up on stream several times. So, yeah, and I've been on Kick or Keep to get closer to him. And so, with a heavy heart, I will say from now that I am burning my bridge with Destiny. He's been a very important part of my content creation network. So burning this bridge has not come easily for me. And I will no longer be responding to his DMs, I think. Although I still watch his videos to this day, I do so knowing with sorrow in my heart. I know this isn't healthy either because, you know, he is simultaneously my ex and my ex-father. And that's all I wanted to say. Goodbye.
OnlyFans models every night of the week. Your fans only give them money for a peek at their feet. I wreck conservatives by day, wreck pussy by night. And at least people actually want to my wife.
The Destiny rap battles by Rowan did not age well.
So you're finally living like a socialist though. cause everybody sees you getting publicly. Avoid immorality, I divorce my bitch, you're divorced from reality. When you go down in flames and wonder was it all worth it, like you said with 9/11, you'll fucking deserve it, bitch.
Rowan is a high-quality Destiny shitposter within DGG. He made a series of rap battles, Destiny versus Jordan Peterson versus Ben Shapiro, and versus Hassan Piker, respectively. At first, I didn't want to watch them because I have terrible secondhand embarrassment. I thought they were just going to be cringe, terminally online, whatever. Well, they were still terminally online. But after I started listening to them, oh my god, they were bangers.
Conservative, I debate leads to bend you in tears. I've been wrecking people with double your coherence for years. Asked Alex Jones when I spanked him, made his ego deflate. I'm beginning to feel like I'm the fucking god of
I couldn't stop ADHD looping them on repeat all day, especially the one with Ben Shapiro. And honestly, this brings me to my subject. One of the saddest parts of Destiny's scandal is the diminishing of enjoyment of several pieces of work that were released over the years, as well as like the overall humor. Sounds pretty gay and cringe, but some of the funniest content on the internet I have watched and looked at were, well, Destiny memes. Additionally, you know this isn't just coming from a random Destiny anti-fan, but somebody who actually liked Destiny, because I'm going to bring up some examples that people have not brought up actually. Destiny hosting Annalicia versus the online black community. Basically, Annalicia was a very, very brief Destiny orbiter who identified herself as being a black woman who hates black men.
Minute that you say, I'm a goddess, I'm a queen, and I don't lay with these Pookies and Ray Rays. Well, then that's why Pookies and Ray Rays can continue to exist. Because you don't hold their feet to the fire, and you don't tell them, I don't give a if you're Pookie.
Wait, hold on. I have a, hold on.
Ray
You're
Ray, go get a job, Ray Ray. Go get a degree, Ray Ray.
Wait, hold on.
Okay,
I need.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I need to respond to, because you're stacking. Now, first, my first question is, who is Pookie and Ray Ray?
And his part of the black fan base hopped on to participate in the battle royale against Annalicia. And it's like one of the funniest pieces of internet content I have ever listened to.
Actually, it's a 2v9, whatever. I'm actually curious, on Anna's behalf, she did raise a point where you said you learned a lot of your lessons from having your father being present. If a lot of black women don't have that same experience and they don't learn the same lessons the way you did, can you also expect them to learn the same conclusions that you did?
No, but however, not exactly how I learned it. However, the same women who don't have men in their lives can always go to the church. They can always go to a gazillion of nonprofit organizations. Oh my God, Abba, I did not know your voice changed. How? What? Did you take an estrogen or something? God damn, I didn't know that.
I'm getting in touch with my inner divine. Go ahead, Queen.
Oh, okay. All right. So as I was saying, Abba.
Another piece of content that I remember fondly, Destiny leaked Mizkif calls. And that was when Trainwrecks and Mizkif and a few others, Asmongold, hopped onto a call in order to deliberate, figure out what's going on with Adriana Lee. Mizkif was allegedly blackballing and covering up physical sexual assault case where Anna's breasts have been roped by Mizkif's roommate.
You know, just like told Maya like that she, you know, like, you're Maya Higa, like, you know who you are, you know, like how and like, you know, how it would go or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, he definitely was like, and he told me also to not say shit. He was like, Mitch, you're an idiot, don't say shit. And I'm like, okay. And my only intention going over there was to figure out.
And honestly, it's kind of sad that some of the best content I've ever seen are now tainted by the incident. A lot of the lines from the Rowan rap battles just sound outdated. For example, Melina is no longer Destiny's wife. Melina supposedly also had her nudes leaked by Destiny on purpose. Fucking OnlyFans models no longer sounds like a flex considering how Destiny leaks their nudes. A lot of people in that Destiny and Alicia video are no longer bridged with Destiny, including Lav, Straight Array, Pixie. But honestly, if you didn't like Lav, Straight Array, or Pixie, that's understandable. But there was also Ab and Preach, who has burn bridges with Destiny.
My friend goes out and murders a bunch of people. I don't give a fuck. Send his ass to jail. And if my friend does some fuck shit like what Steven just did, and he's gonna lose a bunch of money, I'm not gonna cry. All right, I would tell my friends, and I would warn them beforehand. Hey, don't do that. Don't do that. You go and do it. Then, hey man, that's your problem, bro. You didn't listen to me. You're not gonna get my sympathy at this point. Nope. My sympathy is for when a tragedy happens, not when the inevitable does. Yeah, what you're hearing from me right now is disappointment and a bit of anger, but I'm angry at myself.
Destiny was the one who actually originally made the rape reviews, not the commentary community. They merely adopted it. But Destiny made them in the first place because he was deliberating Twitch's own Me Too movement, with lots of girls posting twitlongers about different streamers, and he was the one who was deliberating, oh yeah, which ones were fake, which ones were real, and which streamer should be pinned to the wall. And while now the rape reviews are ironic in a very self-explanatory way.
Dude, this guy demands a lot of attention. I don't think with any girl I've ever traded nudes with have I ever been like, 1 per day. This is an aggressive picture taking schedule. I need to adopt this. Beware. Never mind. In a video game.
Ms. Kiff call still matters, along with Destiny's commentary on it, but it really doesn't feel so right anymore considering Destiny's revealed actions. I mean, was he leaking news while arbitrating the Ms. Kiff drama and going through rape reviews? At some point, I feel as though Destiny's content outpaced Destiny intellectually, and his very being has been transcended by what his community and orbiters made, in addition to who he is as a person. Even though I can still play an old-timey Destiny video and derive enjoyment from it and laugh to it, I can't help but feel there is an ick feeling at the back of my mind. But, you know, life goes on, but still, I want to make a video about how I can't help but feel nostalgic and honestly kind of slightly bitter at these pieces of content, considering how I can never really look at them in the same light as I did before.
She wanted a formal written apology from me, immediate cessation of the further disclosure and dissemination of images, which are all hosted on another website, by the way, and then reimbursement of legal fees, and then at least $15 million in compensation.
The Destiny Pixie lawsuit situation is crazy. It's like the Avengers Endgame of Destiny drama. The court papers got published for the lawsuit, and Destiny alleges on stream that Pixie initially was looking to sue Destiny for $15 million. Nigga, what the f is going on? I'm Foodshops, I'm your guide, and let's dive right into it.
I'm trying to think of how to say this so that it doesn't sound like the worst thing ever. Like, in a way, our destinies are intertwined.
Let's recap real quick. Destiny leaks at least one girl's nudes to other people. The person who is suing him in particular for this is Pixie, who has had her nudes leaked to a 19-year-old OnlyFans girl. Now, we have a potentially huge court case with a lot of money on the line. Now, the court papers are out. Let's pick out the most notable sections of this big document of jargon. Basically, Pixie alleges that Destiny's unauthorized disclosure of intimate images has led to, quote, extreme emotional and physical distress, depression, anxiety, and harm to her personal and professional reputation. That's not all. Pixie's legal team asserts her nudes have been viewed by tens of thousands of people. I mean, holy crap, not going to lie. I'm just getting extreme emotional and physical distress just reading about it. It was apparently shared on multiple porn sites, some of which have been taken down. Unfortunately, intention is something Pixie's team will have to try and prove. But is it intention to share, or is it intention to defame? If it is intention to defame, Pixie's team might be fighting an uphill battle. However, if it is intention to share, then at least Pixie's team got their work cut out for them here. Destiny said in a DM to Pixie, there shouldn't be no... I'm so sorry, there's literally no excuse. I've had phone convos and stuff with this person. They were fairly close to me. It's worthless to say it at this point, but I'm super sorry. There's literally no excuse. The court papers also mention two different streamers who post videos about the sex leaks. likely referring to Beckett of Crabs from the channel Cope and Seethe, and President Sunday's video on Destiny. I'm no lawyer, but personally these hit piece videos on Destiny might have f***ed over Pixie in some capacity. See, Destiny might have a defense in this case because he can argue that he has been defamed alongside Pixie, rather than the fact that he has defamed Pixie, since his nudes also got leaked, though that is mostly his own fault. Now, there are 2 hit piece videos on Destiny. I do not know if it contributes to Destiny's defense, but if it does, it is once again an uphill battle for Pixie's legal team. Meanwhile, another former Orbiter named Cherry has alleged that criminal charges be brought against Destiny, as Cherry alleges that Steven has recorded her having sex with him without her consent nor knowledge. If this is true and can be proven without the shadow of a doubt, then Destiny might not just be facing a civil suit, but also a criminal case where he might be sentenced to prison. However, one of the craziest parts is paragraph 52, where it says, plaintiff also seeks punitive damages in an amount no less than $1 million. This ultimately brings us to Destiny's response to this lawsuit. He says, instead, in a prior communication between him and Pixie's legal team, they actually initially requested $15 million? That's right, you heard it, $15 million.
Reimbursement of legal fees, and then at least $15 million in compensation. Fuck that. This is a racket. This whole thing has been a racket. So now that it's filed, I guess we'll see what happens pre-trial. We'll see what happens if it goes to trial.
Whether this is still the case is up for debate. But oh man, that's rough if true, for both parties. Furthermore, Destiny is definitely not doing well. He's looking pretty rough, and honestly, I totally understand.
To be fair, if something like this was leaked about me, I would be close to suicidal too. That could be a thing. Well, now I'm like public enemy number 1. Nobody talks to me. Everybody's in like Gisticles, like Rehab Server or Kiwi Farms, and they're all spreading around like the most insane stories. So I have like literally 2 people I can talk to. Really, a stupid question about, are you okay through all of this? No, I'm not okay. Okay, I don't feel okay. The amount of insane people who have contacted me, who have other people who've tried to extort me on things. I had some woman DM me and she's like, we sexted a long time ago. Like, if you don't give me $5,000, I'm gonna contact the Daily Wire and tell them this story. I'm like, what the fuck? I've had so many random fucking crazy people. Yeah. Like your current lawyer costs? Yeah, it's just me pissing my money away, but I guess I can spend it on something. I've probably paid about $40,000 so far. Good times. Feels good.
If I was Destiny's lawyer, I would be preparing my own suicide note, because personally, talking about this court case before it resolves on stream to tens of thousands of people could potentially undermine his own defense. I will not show it here, but Destiny at some point dropped Pixie's first name, even though in the court case papers, she is referred to as Jane Doe to hide her true identity. I don't know if Destiny's legal team signed off on that move, but not only was it a dick move to drop her first name, but also you might have further undermined your own case. Destiny also asserts that one of Pixie's biggest blows on him, that isn't the monetary ask, is her Substack article declaring her intent to sue Destiny.
That the Substack was so unbelievably unhinged that the only possible way I would have agreed to settle anything would have been she had to retract like 80% of that. She's looking for me to try to settle something, but she's already inflicted maximum possible damage on me. So they filed a lawsuit today, but it's like, okay, like all of these claims, actually worse than the claims in the lawsuit, have already been made publicly and alleged against me in her Substack. So I have little incentive to settle anything. She's put herself like in an impossible position where she can't like do anything because she would have to walk back from so much. And the issue is, so then getting into this, people are like, why didn't you say anything? Why haven't you said you're innocent, or why haven't you blah blah blah? The reason why I haven't said anything is because as soon as I start clarifying on my end, remember how we said in court you can't introduce character evidence to attack a defendant? but you can introduce character evidence to attack somebody who's provided character evidence to defend themselves. The issue then is that for me to argue my side here would be just, it's going to be really, really, really rough on the other side. So if I start publicly explaining things, it destroys her ability to make any kind of salvageable public statement. And then,
lots of exaggerations that might misalign the actual situation at hand. As such, part of Destiny's defense might just be her Substack article. As far as I'm concerned, this is a complete dumpster fire, and they have both self-sabotaged and made both of their legal teams fight an uphill battle. Again, like I said, this is like the Avengers Endgame of Destiny drama, and I'm here for it. If you want to see more stuff like this, give me a subscribe and leave a like or comment. Thank you for watching.
So the first phase was, obviously, I don't want to publicize the leaks, because, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says in this, I am a victim in this, unarguably the largest victim. I was the target of this, and I've been the one the most horribly impacted. So, one, I don't want to publicize my own leaks, but also, out of respect for other people involved, I don't want to publicize their leaks, so I don't talk about any of it. The second part was her saying that she was literally suicidal, and that if her parents ever found out, she would kill herself. So obviously I don't want to talk about it then as well. And then the third part was for pre-trial stuff after she'd made her statement. Well, now if I start explaining my side of things, now she's in an even more like completely fucked position trying to make any sort of pre-trial joint statement with me to settle anything. So the situation in terms of my ability to say anything prior to filing an actual fucking complaint has been nada, because I'm either going to cause her to kill herself, okay, or I'm going to cause her to have to be so fucked for her litigation posture that now she'll either kill herself or whatever. I don't know. So this has been like the most irritating and annoying fucking part about all of this, I think. There's like a lot of like specifics that we can dive into, but like I said, I made a, I don't know if you call it a manifesto. Probably shouldn't call it manifesto, because now everything I say is going to show up in either in a court doc or in trial, I guess. But I don't understand. Shouldn't you be focusing on self-survivability over her feelings? Kind of. So I'm trying to think of how to say this so that it doesn't sound like the worst thing ever. Like, in a way, our destinies are intertwined. On January 20th, 2025, Pixie created a Substack post, which you can see here, signaling her intent to sue me, since filed her lawsuit in which she claims I shared explicit material we created together without her permission.
My nigga Destiny has released his manifesto in response to the Pixie League drama, and unfortunately, it has a lot of flaws, to say the least. Normally, Destiny manifestos really hammer the nail into the coffin for any sort of allegation, but I can't help but feel that there is some dodging or weaving. So let's just get into it and see what's up. The rough structure of Destiny's manifesto stream is that he first recapped from the start and then revealed new additional information mostly afterwards. However, there are things that are worth pointing out along the way, which includes the various problems I had with the stream. I will be skipping a lot of the recap portion of Destiny's manifesto stream and focusing on some takes, reflections, and what to derive from the new information. And so, let's see whether or not my opinion of him has changed.
Pixie messaged me and informed me that she didn't want confirmation of her in any part of the material. She said, I'm 100% denying it's me, by the way, since it's not super clear my face or anything like that. I haven't told other personal people in my life about it. This is me talking, basically, if you have any specific requests about like removing anything, and then it's just her saying, I don't want to testify or be named in anything. As far as people asking me, I'm just saying it's a lookalike. Don't tell anyone privately either if it's me or not, basically.
It's unfortunate the way the situation is presented by Destiny. As D-Man has said, it is true that at first Pixie didn't want this situation to be public because people might connect her to the nudes. However, Destiny benefits from this as well. You see, using the excuse of a veil of privacy for Pixie, Destiny also gets to avoid addressing the rumors and allegations beforehand that he has in fact leaked news of her unconsensually. This ultimately also allows Destiny to avoid accountability in public. Later on, we will see how as this veil of privacy falls, so does Destiny's willingness to admit what he has done.
Since threats of suicide from Pixie were now involved, I reached out to a mutual friend, Aaron. Okay, yeah, I have no clue what to say or do. How much did she tell you? And then I pasted our conversation, and she says, I'm surprised she told you. To be honest, she didn't respond to this, or did she delete it? No, if she responded and deleted, I didn't see, but I'm pretty sure she just didn't respond. She's not doing well, and she had made all the wrong moves. In response to this, I told her to do nothing and not reply to people. I said, I don't think she's done anything too bad or anything, like just privating her stuff for a bit was fine. She said, people have sent me stuff that she said to them in DMs. She's denying it in private and DMing people to stop talking about it because it's not her. I said, oh, well, I mean, if it's helping her process stuff or whatever, it's okay, unless she's just blowing it up or making it worse or something.
There are actually several things to keep in mind from this single segment. First, Pixie's erratic actions while crashing out due to this situation. Privating her stuff according to Destiny, but also arguing and responding to people would be inconsistent with one another action-wise. It doesn't make much sense to be crashing out publicly while also trying to make an effort to be private about it. Luckily, this gives Pixie some charity. It shows that Pixie is rather making wrong decisions, at least at first, out of panic, rather than planned malice. Some people might think that Pixie from the very beginning has been planning to extort Destiny for large sums of cash, as she is revealing more and more information about him to the public and demanding Destiny to give her money to shut up. However, I don't want this to be the takeaway from Destiny's video.
Since threats of suicide from Pixie were now involved, I reached out to a mutual friend, Aaron.
Second, notice that Straighterade is contacted by both parties to be a mutual friend and mediator, much like Not So Erudite. However, even though talking to her was reasonable at the time, at some point President Sunday would grab a hold of a lot of this situation from Straighterade, and for that, I don't think it's too controversial to say that she eventually became kind of a villain in this story. Alright, with this kept in mind, let's continue.
I was now in an impossible position. A revenge point of me was still being blasted across the internet, with family members, including my 13-year-old son, being spammed with explicit videos of me, sometimes even by popular social media personalities like Just a Minx.
While it is disgusting to send revenge porn to Destiny's underage son, most people who don't know about Destiny's stream lore will think that Destiny's son is out of the internet's picture and is kept separate from Destiny's streaming space. This, however, is not true.
Down there.
I just traveled out.
Nathan! Oh my god.
Nathan! Nathan, Destiny's son, has been appearing now and then uncommonly on his streams. One may think that if they stream with their son, that is their own business. However, Destiny has millions of people watching him. He is not stupid, and he knows that if anything goes down, his son is online enough to receive details and material related to his father's dramas. So, in a way, part of the blame does in fact fall on Destiny.
D-Day. On January 20th, 2025, while flying back from the studio in New York, I was notified that 2 videos were going live that seemed to be centered on recent events. A video titled Destiny, Predator Unmasked by Coben Seethe, and Exposing the Destiny Abuse Machine by President Sunday. And the messages here that she had been sending to President Sunday, Aaron says, she was threatening to kill herself to him, but she told me this wasn't serious, it was just to get his attention.
It's time to revisit one of the points that I said earlier. Remember when I said that Straighterade did become one of the villains of this story? This is what I meant. Playing Triple Agent, messaging Destiny and Pixie closely to the situation, and now giving information to President Sunday makes her come off as a desperate side character wanting main character attention for once. However, a more charitable take would be that she is agitated and stressed out. This ultimately would make her turn to Sunday, one of her friends, to discuss the situation with. Unfortunately, President Sunday would find this situation as a way to increase his own clout by being the one to expose Destiny. And now, ironically, even assuming the intentions were good from the start for her fellow friend Pixie, it would ultimately undermine her efforts.
I know that she's messaged people with stuff like this. This statement and implication, however, are both false. She'd sent me videos of her and other guys multiple times prior to us ever meeting and requested material from me as well. It was also her who suggested multiple times that we record stuff when we met later in 2020. I took some videos of the guy I can send you later if you're interested also. Okay, I'll send you when I get them. This is just basically her talking about sending me videos of her with other people on Instagram where she DMs this to me. Basically, I don't want to read these, they're cringe as fuck. I'm with a guy friend right now, I can probably get a photo or video of him, blah, blah, blah. And then the times that for us recording anything, it's going to be so nice of you to do. Would you want to make some videos together? If you want to, yeah, sure. Do you want to take videos when we do stuff together? I think it blah, blah, blah. Jesus Christ.
Now this is the ultimate part of the manifesto that stands out the most. New information that supposedly shows that Pixie has been participating in the same grotesque actions as Destiny, leaking other people's nudes. Many of these years are celebrating this as a slam dunk. Destiny has beaten the allegations! Or has he? Upon a closer inspection, nowhere among the texts is a confirmation that Destiny has in fact been given explicit permission to share their videos specifically. Furthermore, Pixie later clarified on Twitter that these were cut out of context, and that the videos she shared were from her ex-boyfriend, whom she got permission from, allegedly. Even if this is not true, and Pixie also partook of the same crime, Destiny still did something wrong here. Next, some people may argue that in the context of them privately sharing with one another, it might be something that's normal for them. And from Destiny's point of view specifically, maybe he is in a circle of hookups and partners who just share news without permission. However, first, not only does it sound unlikely, but also it wouldn't make much sense for Destiny's friends to leave him. It's clear that his hookup circle and friend circle overlap into a Venn diagram, so his hookup circle also mostly left. Even though I'm interested in whether or not it's true that Pixie got permission to share her ex-boyfriend's nudes, ultimately, it isn't the most important thing, as the most important thing has always been whether or not Destiny himself has gotten permission from Pixie in any way to share her nudes.
At no point in any of these conversations did Pixie ever mention having explicit consent from any of these other men to share these videos with me. I have no way of contacting them today to find out if she did. All this to say, consent was being reasonably understood by both sides of this situation.
Okay, yeah, great, so you both did something wrong, at best. Some people might argue that Destiny did in fact get permission from Pixie. I don't think that's true. Destiny could have clarified that in his manifesto reading. It would be a strong counterstatement to make, since it would be an allegation requiring burden of proof versus a defense that presumes innocence. People who argue that he couldn't say anything related to that because of the active court case would also feel kind of like a cop-out answer, since in that case, he didn't have to address this publicly at all, since every second spent talking about this drama would potentially jeopardize his court-winning chances. Ultimately, I don't think my view is changing on Destiny. However, my view did in fact change a bit for Pixie. I believe that at first she was crashing out and doing inconsistent things, not deciding whether or not to come clean with the whole drama or to keep it as quiet as possible. However, I do believe that at some point people close to her could have gaslighted and gassed her up to a level beyond reasonable, demanding $15 million, wanting Destiny to suffer, and feeling entitled to larger and larger compensation due to a growing feeling of wanting justice. And with that being said, I'm Foodshops. Like and subscribe if you want more, and thank you for watching this video.